Okay. Hello, good morning. My name is Stephen Keller. I will be the hearing officer today for San Francisco Public Works. Quentin Otwell is the clerk. The hearing is being recorded via Zoom and will be available afterwards through a link on SF San Francisco Public Works website, sfpublicworks.org. As this is a virtual hearing, there is no sign-in sheet. So if you would like to receive information about the results of the hearing, please send an email to the email address listed on the hearing notice. This hearing is being held to consider, I believe, 6 items. The first item is public comment. Any members of the public may address the hearing officer on matters that are not within today's agenda. And then order number 205729 to consider a request for minor sidewalk encroachment at 145 Bonneview. Order number 205730, a request from the property owner of 1533 Mcallister Street for a minor sidewalk encroachment. Order number 205735, a request from a property owner of 1506 Willard Street for a minor sidewalk encroachment. And finally, order number 205746 to consider the validity of notices to repair that have been issued to various property owners and utility agencies for the restoration of public sidewalks within the right-of-way within the inner Richmond. The specific blocks are Balboa Street on the north, 7th Street on the east, Fulton Street on the south, and Funston Avenue on the west. My job as the hearing officer is to gather the facts for the hearing item, listen to your testimonies, and help the Director of Public Works make determinations. I will not be making any decisions today. Instead, I will forward the findings from the hearing and make my recommendations to the director. The director will make the final determinations. When the director's determinations are made, the department will notify you if you've provided your contact information. The hearing format will go as follows. I will ask the Public Works staff to present the case. Then I will allow the property owner or applicant to speak, and the appellant as well. And then any member of the public or witness who wants to speak, then the department, again, if they would like to address any comments. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers and will indicate when the speaker has 30 seconds left. If you are a party to this proceeding, I will call on you to speak. If you would like to use visual materials in your presentation, please let me know before speaking, and then we'll have the standard 3 minutes to provide your comments once you are set up to be a presenter, if you have materials that you'd like to share on your screen. If you are a member of the public or witness who wants to speak, wait for me to call for the public comments, then use the Zoom's raise your hand feature. If you're on a computer, to put yourself into the queue to speak. If you're dialing in on a phone, dial *9 to indicate you are raising your hand to speak. Again, *9 if you're calling in from a phone. When it is your turn to speak, I will recognize you. And then once you are called on to speak on a phone, press *6 to unmute yourself. If you would like to use visual materials in your presentation, please let me know beforehand. You will be given 3 minutes to speak. Comments and questions should be addressed to me and not to the department or the applicant. If you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you may submit written testimony to me by the end of the hearing. If I feel a question is warranted, I will ask a question. After all comments are completed, I will close the item. I will go to item number 1, general public comment. That is not relevant to any of the 5 cases we're hearing today.
We'll wait a minute for anyone to raise their hand for a non-agenda related item for the hearing officer, and then we will start with the next order number. Burhani, I have the map up. Is that all you need me to share?
Yes, please. Yeah, it
Okay.
should have a number of pages.
Okay, great.
Okay, not seeing any general public comment, so now we'll call order number 3, order number 205729, regarding minor encroachment at 145 Bondview Street. Will the Public Works representative please go ahead?
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Burhane Gaim, and I am with San Francisco Public Works, DSM Permit Division. And this public hearing is to consider a minor sidewalk encroachment permit application for existing wooden retaining wall stairs within an improved portion of the right-of-way fronting 145 Bondview Street. The applicant submitted an application to replace the existing wooden retaining wall within an improved portion of the right-of-way in front of the project with new steel piles, wood lagging, retaining walls, as you can see right here, and concrete stairs right here. During our review process, our office received an objection from a neighbor within the area. So just to give you, this is the area we were talking about. On the north, this is a dead end project, and this existed for many years. And the applicant applied to basically replace the existing condition within the same location. The existing retaining wall encroaches approximately 18 feet, which is the existing, and right here, the street is basically unimproved. I have some pictures to show if I can move forward. Can I flip the page? So I don't, yeah. Do I have access to, I have several pages, and if you can
Yeah.
help me.
So,
scroll down?
Barney, you have to guide me on what you want me to
Okay.
present. I only have what's in the W drive for this hearing order, but I can
Oh, I
give you
see.
control if you'd like.
Yeah, if you can, yeah, if I can control it, that would be good.
Okay,
I have
so
several pages. Yeah. Let me know when I can control it.
you should be able to control.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you. So basically, these are the proposed new stairs, and with piles that will support the existing condition. And this is the existing photos that show the existing encroachment. This is to the north, and that's the project that we're talking about. And the right-of-way itself is 40 feet wide with 7 feet official sidewalk. And this existing condition actually was approved and issued in 1971 via a San Francisco Public Work Order number 9864. And yeah, so this is an existing condition of the property and the encroachment. This is the north. And we have this is where the retaining wall that should be replaced. Continuing similar condition that shows on the north. This is the dirt on the side. Basically, this is what the existing condition is, and with that, I basically conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I have the applicant please speak? Yeah, do we know which is the applicant and which is the protester based on?
Right, so we have Melinda Sarajapur, and we have a caller with the last 3 digits of the phone ending in 333.
Okay.
I'm going to allow Melinda to talk first.
Okay.
Just because it's easier to identify.
Sure.
If Melinda, if you're not the appellant or the property owner or interested party, we would defer
Melinda
to
is happy. Yeah, applicant acting on behalf of the owner.
Okay,
Okay,
excellent.
perfect. Thank you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, okay, so this is Melinda Sarjapur. I'm with Rubin, Junius and Rose. I am here today on behalf of the owners and the minor sidewalk encroachment applicants. Am I able to share screen?
You are.
You are? Okay, I may do that just so I get an image of the site up while speaking. Do you need to give me permission to do that?
No.
No. All right, well, I don't see the option here, so I will.
Okay, so at the bottom, you do have permission. At the bottom of your screen next to the chat, there is should have a button that says share screen along your controls.
It's not there, but it's okay. It's not necessary. What I was going to share were essentially the images that Burhani shared of what the existing encroachments look like.
Yeah.
I do want to note that we also have the owners here today as well, along with their engineer, Nate Williams from Mosswood Engineering. We're all happy to answer any questions in the scope. And we did submit a brief earlier this week, which we hope the hearing officer has, that describes the condition and has some images that show it and the history of the site. So the retaining wall and the stairs here are longstanding encroachments, as Burhani mentioned. They've been in front of the property for decades, likely more than 50 years and long before the current ownership. The encroachment application was submitted about 14 months ago. Both the retaining wall and stairs need to be replaced at this point because they're old and they've deteriorated over time. The wall is a particular concern. Oh, thank you very much. The wall
and so if you want me to show a particular one, just let me know.
Yeah, I was going to show an image of the front of the encroachments. We have some, yes, that's good. That works for now. This is a little bit older at the start of the application, but that gives context. So both the wall is a particular concern. The structural wood beams are falling and they no longer securely retain the up to 5 or so feet of dirt hillside behind them. So the owners are concerned about potential collapse during the upcoming rainy season or in the event of an earthquake if it's not replaced in the near future. In fact, about 5 months ago, after the encroachment application was filed, one of these beams fell during a rainstorm and smashed the rear window of a parked car in front of it. The neighbors have understandably expressed concerns about the wall safety and asked that it be replaced. A complaint was also filed with DBI by a neighbor around the same time, alleging retaining wall failure, although it was ultimately closed because we already had this encroachment application pending to replace these items. The owner's structural engineer reviewed the wall's condition, and he provided a letter in March 2020 stating his opinion that the wall is a hazard and should be replaced as soon as possible. The owners have shared that email with DPW and have been doing everything in their power to expedite the review and replacement process. The minor encroachment permit here will allow the owners to replace the wall and the stairs in the same location with no expansion to the area of encroachment. The wood beam wall would be replaced with a structurally sound steel beam and wood lagging retaining wall. The wooden stairs would be replaced with even concrete stairs, both in the same location and with the same dimensions. There's no other development project at the property. The existing home has been there since the early 1900s with minor modifications. The sole work here is just to replace these features in an attractive and safer condition as soon as possible. Throughout the permit process, the owners have tried to keep their immediate neighbors informed. They've been responsive to questions and they have shared copies of plans. They're pleased that their neighbors have been largely supportive, and I believe there's a letter of support on file from a nearby neighbor. We have reached out to the one individual that requested hearing on this item, but they weren't willing to discuss their concerns. So that concludes my comments, but again, we welcome any questions and I look forward to replacing these features in the same location as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think I have any questions.
So we have the caller
Yeah.
with the last 3 digits, 333. You can go ahead and unmute and you're able to speak.
Yeah, and I would like to share my screen as well.
So
this is can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
What is your name?
Thomas Donis. I'm one of the neighbor. I live at 142 Bonview Street, across from the project.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So first, following up to the previous comment, I did request for over 9 months to get copies of the plans, and I only got them from the city. So the property owners actually really weren't willing to share the plans or what they're trying to do for the project. And only after engaging the DPW department were we actually able to see what the proposed sites are. What was shared with us was that they were going to change it, make it more available to the public, widen the street, basically make it more attractive to the neighborhood. But what was actually submitted was completely different. So since then, I've been corresponding directly with DPW. I have a number of concerns, and I want to oppose the encroachment permit. Number one, the current encroachment permit that was issued that I'm sharing on the screen actually said that if there's any major constructions on the property, basically the owner had committed that they would update the sidewalk and remove the encroachment. There was a major construction in 2012 to 2015. The pre-planning meeting, the owner promised to all the neighbors that they would address the sidewalk and the encroachment and would make this more attractive to the neighborhood. But after the permit was issued with our support, they basically didn't do anything, and since then ignored all requests to have the property fixed. There's no reason why 440 square feet of public land need to be enclosed by a fence at the property. There's a lot of streets in Bernal Heights on the same slope. This is I'm showing Bondview Street here. Let me actually make it slightly bigger for you. There's many other streets that are dead end that on the south slope of Bernal Heights that have very similar conditions. None of them require major encroachment. None of them require not providing a sidewalk. I'm providing satellite pictures of all the streets that have the very same conditions. Everybody's providing access to the hill. Nobody has fencing in front of their property that takes away half the street and makes access for the neighbors a lot more difficult. So we're not really understand why this encroachment is required in its current form. There are many streets in Bernal that have really, really deep slopes. I think 4 or 5 of the deepest streets in San Francisco are in Bernal Heights. I'm showing a picture here of Bradford Street, which apparently has the biggest slope in San Francisco. All the houses on Bradford Street are able to provide a sidewalk. Nobody has fencing in front of their property. So again, I'm not exactly sure why such a major encroachment is needed at this property. The lot of the applicant is actually 3 lots. They have 75 feet of frontage, and there's only about an 8 or 9 foot rise, which translates to 3 feet for each of their 25-foot lots, which is very similar to all the properties on Bondview Street. Every single property on Bondview is providing a sidewalk. Every property is providing access. My property itself has a 6.5 foot rise over the 25 feet, and everybody's able to provide a sidewalk without fencing half of the street. So again, there's no reason from the existing conditions on why there could be a normal sidewalk like everybody else.
You have 30 seconds.
Yep. And I also want to raise, there's an existing path that's actually blocked by the encroachment. It was there for over 50 years. I have historical pictures. I will submit them after this meeting. I'm showing the subject property here, and I'm showing the path that existed for many years before that encroachment was done. So again, that path exists. There's still existing paving. If we just remove the
that is
fencing
3 minutes, sir.
Okay. And yeah, I was not aware that this is only 3 minutes. I also want to point out the encroachment is actually infilling the property. So I'm not sure why we're creating, more structures. Right now it's proposed a 12-foot wall. It's really unsightly from the street. It's blocking a lot of the light and making the street a lot less attractive. It's against the public planning code to have fences this high. I'm not sure why we're considering a 12-foot. This could be, terraced or done in a more attractive
way. Okay, we did hit the time limit, sir.
Yeah, you can forward this to me and I can review it as well. I guess I'll just have one question for this, but your main concern would be continued access to the open space from that area.
Yes, I mean, why does it need to be fenced, right? We can build stairs and we can build a retaining wall, but not have it become a private property, right? This could be access that everybody on the street can access. If we don't put up 12-foot fencing, it makes it a lot wider open space. Everybody can use that area, right? And I think the biggest concern is there's an existing path that goes up the hill here that has been blocked, right? So basically now what neighbors have done, they built these access to the hill that is basically, not secured, it's not properly done. And now it's in front of my property where there's, a hazard and potential liability if people slip down the hill. The hill is not secure because people keep walking there and things is falling down. So,
Okay.
and it's just not considering any input from the neighbor or needs of others. It's just blocking the public land and fencing public land for no apparent reason other than making
Okay.
the property bigger.
Thank you. All right. Okay. I believe there was another, was there?
Jamie, I believe is the person that had their hand up. So go ahead, Jamie or Jaime. You'll need to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Amy Graham and Jamie Lance is here with me. We are the property owners for 145 Bondview. We purchased the property 13 years ago, and during that process, we inherited the frontage which contains the retaining wall. We look forward to procuring the permit to replace the retaining wall to ensure public safety. Thank you very much for considering.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other members of the public that would need to speak? There is raise your hand feature. I don't see anyone at this time. Oh, we have Brian Utter.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I'm here in the meeting. I represent 140 Bondview. My father owns the property across the street and 2 doors up. And I'm representing that I've lived there since 1987.
Thank you. Do you have any comments? Rather,
I do. It's been an issue going in and out for years and years, and we've actually tried to work with Public Works, and I've tried to pull permits with the Planning Department, Public Works, and the Parks Department for years and years, trying to get us to widen the street so that it has easier access for the residents above where this retaining wall is, to try to be able to back in and out of the existing garages, driveways, the turnaround. And then we've also tried to get it so that once it was widened, we could have it red curbed in order to have a no parking zone there so that we could have access to get in and out of the properties. And I've just been trying to work on it for years with Public Works and went in and met with them multiple times and tried to get, I'm also a general contractor in San Francisco. So we were going to widen the street and put in a retaining wall ourselves and foot the bill for it. And this has all come to a stop because it's not been inclusive in this plan.
okay. And I guess how progressed did those plans ever get?
They didn't, they told, I got back and forth. Parks Department kept telling me it wasn't their issue. And then Public Works kept telling me it wasn't their property. So I got stuck in between the two. And this has been going on for about 10 years. And the previous history of the street, the last 5 houses, the street actually stopped. And over the last 30 to 40 years, since my father's lived there, all maintenance and work on the road itself for the first 4 houses has always been done by the property owners per direction of Public Works. When they paved the road, when they came in and concreted it, they stopped it and it was a dirt road. So any improvements on the road for the last 4 houses have always been done by the property owners. We've foot the bill to pave it multiple times.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I have one more comment on this.
Sure, go ahead.
So the current retaining wall that is sitting there now for they are Jersey barriers that were installed during a mudslide. That mudslide was 15 years ago, maybe 20. And there used to be a wood retaining wall that was provided by the city at some point, and it was approximately 6 feet further back. And when the mudslide happened, Public Works came in, removed the debris, dropped in 2 Jersey barriers, and that's how it's been sitting for 15, I want to say 15 to 18 years. So in our plan to put the retaining wall back in, we were simply going to put it back where it was originally before the Jersey barriers went in. So currently there's just 2 Jersey barriers there, and they've encroached on the street about 5 to 6 feet at this point. And that's why we just simply wanted to take the 2 Jersey barriers out and replace the retaining wall as it was previous to that. And we have photos and documentation of the original location as well. Like I
Yeah,
said,
sure. Send that via email and I can review it.
yeah, we've been there quite a while. Like I said, my father bought the house in 1964. So,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
Okay, if there's no more public comment, any more hands raised, I would have a question for Burhani. Yeah,
Go ahead.
hey, yeah, hi. I guess, can you, I know there was previous, can you, I guess, detail the previous encroachments and what is documented there? Is it two, I saw there,
There are 2 permits. One is a DPW order, which was issued in 1971. That basically says that that approves the encroachment. And later on in 2012, there was another encroachment that stated clearly that when they have a major encroachment, major upgrade to the building, they're potentially supposed to be removing the encroachment. And yeah, which is the second one that
okay,
states that they would have to remove it. when they
remove,
don't
okay.
mention.
And what happened with that one?
I am not sure in between. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any information as to what was done in between, and I don't know what was. The current permit is very small. It doesn't, it's very small. The building permit is very minor. It's not a measure, but
Yeah.
the last encroachment says upon a measure for construction, they're supposed to remove the encroachment.
Okay. And I guess in regards to like creating more access to the existing trail into the hillside, is there anything that can be required of that, or is it just a function of the trail doesn't actually lead to it? I believe the right of way stops. Is it the right of way does not continue up into the park? Like, is there, in terms of providing access to it, not a right of way, what can be said about that?
I think I don't know how safe or what the condition is, but there is access.
Mhm.
And I'm sure the neighbors can tell me. If you pull some of the pictures I have previously shown, there are some access, but I don't know if they're clear enough or safe. That I don't know.
Yeah.
But people should be able to go to the park.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some of the.
But I get like, after this property, does the technical public right of way actually continue, or does it end at the dead end? Like
Technically, well, this is a minor. You typically don't require anybody to do beyond their property,
Mhm.
but definitely they can do something in front of their property
Okay.
because the minor does not allow them to go beyond.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
So we do have hands raised, but they are raised by people who have already spoke. So that is
Yeah.
your call, Stephen. We have one from Mr. Utter and
Yeah.
one from Sarah Japur.
I'll let them speak,
Okay.
but these will be the last two. Let's go with
Okay.
Melinda first.
Hi, yeah, thanks. I just wanted to address a couple of things that were raised in that conversation. Particularly Mr. Dornis's comments that the sponsors have not been clear in the scope of the application or have not shared plans. That's not the case. We have emails sent to Upper Bonneview neighbors sharing those plans and the scope throughout the process, which we can share if you'd like. It has not been represented as street widening. In terms of obligation to pull back this existing wall further, which we believe has been there in some condition for 50 or so years, that's going to necessarily require a much larger scope of work in an unimproved right-of-way area. So taller wall, longer wall, and those are not improvements that should be borne by an individual neighbor, especially in a condition like here, where there is no major improvement to the property that would trigger those kinds of streetscape improvements. And in light of the fact that, as one of the speakers has noted, there has not been a history of publicly improved street north of the site. The existing path, there's a little wood footpath, a dirt footpath that winds up the unimproved hillside to the north of this site, which is not blocked by the existing encroachments. It's accessible. It's not a improved path. It's something it looks like people have walked over time. And part of that is on Reckin Park property, and part, I believe, in the unimproved DPW street portion. But for the same reason, we don't feel that the applicant here should be responsible for making those improvements for the public right of way. It is understood that this form of permit is a license that can be revoked in the future if there's a viable, permitted and funded project to improve the streetscape or widen it in the area. So the applicants are open to that and understand in that event, it could require removal of the wall or other features.
Right.
So those are my comments.
Thank you. I guess allow Brian to speak and then.
Okay, so I just had one more comment. I do have
Yeah.
drawings.
Sorry, go
can't
ahead.
hear you.
Go ahead,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Utter. You have to repeat that. I'm sorry. I was.
No worries. I mean, I do have drawings. We did 3D renderings. I have drawings, and that includes a retaining wall and staircase and improving the path along the top of the retaining wall with a railing, which the three residents north will always were going to split the cost of that. And the cost of that would also was trying to incorporate whatever retaining wall they were going to do into that, so that there was not an individual cost for one item at a higher retaining wall. It would spread the cost out over for the three residents across the street are willing to, including myself, are willing to split the cost for the improvement. And I can forward those drawings and design that we came up with as well.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Thank you. Okay, if there is no further comment, I will close this item and move on to the next one. Okay. Moving on to order number 205730, a request from the property owner of 1533 Mcallister for a minor sidewalk encroachment to legalize existing warped driveway and new guardrail. Thanks. Can I have the Public Works representative speak?
Good morning. This is Brahano's Public Works, San Francisco, and I am with PSM Permit Division. And this public hearing is considered a minor sidewalk encroachment permit application for a warped sidewalk and a guardrail at 1533 Mcallister Street. The minor sidewalk encroachment permit is 20 MSE-00181. The proposed is for a warped driveway guardrail encroaching 3 feet and 9" into the public right of way. So our office received the application and we reviewed it, and as per code, we sent notification to the public on June 17, 2021. Public notification was mailed out to all owners with a 150 radius of the subject property, informing the citizens that the city intention to issue a minor sidewalk encroachment permit. And right within the time, our office received letters or emails of objecting to the proposed work. And as a result, we scheduled the public hearing today. So yeah, just to give you some brief description, this is the existing frontage of the property. And this are where the work sidewalks are we're talking about. And this is the existing, and moving forward, our proposed, can I have access to access? Yeah, I'm trying to can I go, can I have access to the shared?
You, you should have access.
Okay, I'm trying to pull page 2.
You have it.
Okay, oh, there you go. Okay, thank you. Very good. Okay, this is the current plans that we have. And this is the work area, which is 3 feet 9 inch, 25% of the sidewalk width. And on this side, because the slope is steeper and there is a guardrail, as well on this side, there is a landscaping area and a small landscape on this side, leaving this as a path of travel. And this is the 3 feet by 10 feet driveway curb cut. So this is the area we're talking about as in an encroachment, and a diverter is used to make sure that that there is no tripping hazard in the area, basically to prevent from anyone going into the work area. So I'm not sure if they can see, but this is the guardrail, which is right here and right here with landscape on both sides of the encroachment. So typically, this is the one we have, the landscape on this side as well. Yeah, this basically concludes my presentation, but we can talk if there's any questions.
Okay, yeah. So it seems, what's the path of travel, like what's the current path of travel on that? Is it say 5'1"?
Yeah, yeah, we have, this is 3 feet 9 each, and the remaining is basically a plenty of travel. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, and would you say is this I mean, warp driveways are fairly common. Is this a particularly steep warp, or is it, you know?
This is a warp, I guess, but yeah, we do have plenty of warp drivers in the city, definitely. And this is 25%, which the code permits. The code says that they can encroach maximum 25% of the sidewalk width. In this case, the sidewalk's 15 feet and 3 feet 9 inches is within the code allowable.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like some of the issues with the path of travel is it's not only it's like the existing landscaping, but there's also a tree that kind of squeezes the path of travel as well.
Yeah, there is a tree right here.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a tree, yeah, but
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you.
Guardrail or
And the guardrail is on the inside of the landscaping.
the base. Here we have plenty of space. Here we have tree. It pinches, but it still meets the code.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right.
Burhani, okay.
All right, I will move on to the applicant.
Okay, is it Sherry or Philip? I'm not sure which one should go first. Burhani, do you know which one is the applicant? Okay, we have a Sherry and a Philip. I'll go ahead and just pick Sherry since we don't know which one is the applicant. Is that correct, Burhani? We don't know which one is the applicant?
Philip is the applicant, sorry. Philip is the
Okay,
applicant.
thank you. Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead, Philip.
Okay, hi, good morning. So we've submitted plans consistent with a building permit and tried to be thoughtful and consistent with code, and particularly on the greening with requirements from SF planning, which really determined the trees and the amount of permeability that we are required to put in. And so we're consistent with all of that. That's what set forward my greening requirements. And in regards to slope and guardrails, just around the corner, we're relatively flat to begin with on Mcallister, and around the corner on Scott, where you have steep slope and elevations, there's consistency there with guardrails being implemented, consistent with 25% or less of travel into the sidewalks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, and now Sherry, if you want to go ahead and unmute and go ahead and speak.
Thank you. I'd like to say first a couple of things. There are 3 people using my computer who will also speak. That's myself, Joe Donahue, and Susan Ben Kyken. And
Sorry, can you repeat the names again?
sure, Joe O'Donoghue
Mm-hmm.
and Susan Van Kyken,
Thank you.
all of whom submitted letters. Now, they live right next door. Now, the other thing is that I don't know, I'm not a technological person, so I don't know how to share the photos that I previously sent to you. Do you have those?
Yes, anything that was sent to the Bureau of Street Use and Mapping was put in the file for me for review.
Okay, so could you show those on the screen so I can explain?
Oh, I mean,
I
Or-
have.
Or
but
if I show this, can you see it?
if you're able to share your screen.
Can you see that? I don't know how to share my screen.
You'll have the option in 1 second.
Okay,
Okay, now you should see a button at the bottom of your screen that says share screen.
no, I don't.
Okay, so in the file that you sent, there is Barhani, there's objections. There's an objection 1, 2, and 3, and then an email. Do any of those have the photos that the resident is speaking about?
I think let me share them. Can I put them on? They may be on the J drive. I don't think you have them. Yeah.
Okay, and so the resident, if you can, in the meantime, look for the share the screen button, which you do have the ability to do so. You can do that as well. And we'll suspend the time for once we're a minute in.
Okay, let me.
And Sherry, you are also on mute.
Okay, share. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, for some reason I can't go to
Is
my.
it Sherry's? We can see Sherry's screen now.
That is not it. Yeah, that's not it.
It's okay, Barhani. They were able to put some photos up.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. Yes, I see the picture of the overhead picture of the tree and the landscaping.
And Sherry, your microphone is on mute. But you are sharing. the
Okay,
screen.
yes, okay. All right, so you can see here, first of all, he has, Joe, I don't have that on my screen. If you would just be, by sloping 35% of the sidewalk, Philip he did this illegally, creating a hazard for the disabled. The obstacles one faces are numerous. You could see here, the tree, the pictures that were just shown are disingenuous, because here you see the tree and the slope, and you see this something of grass, and then you see that rock, that I don't know, piece of wood, and then a rock behind it. So let me see if I can share, new share. to show you some others.
Should let me take over.
Joe's going to speak right now. Yeah.
Commissioners Joe O'Donoghue, do you hear me?
That's
No.
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
You hear?
They can't.
Affirmative.
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, Joe O'Donoghue, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
They don't.
Yes.
Yeah, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And what's important here is not the greening, is not even the sloping, it's the path of travel. And this sidewalk is used continuously to go to the restaurants up at the corner of Divisadero and Mcallister Street. And in fact, it's now he has made it by what he has done. He's made it unsafe to walk this sidewalk for the able-bodied, not counting the disabled. And you need to do a site visit, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Because what he has done is he has taken over 30 to 40% of that sidewalk, a public sidewalk, for his own private use. It's inconceivable. Truly, and I've handled a lot of cases in the past before commissions, but I've never had a case as so egregious as this, that someone can come in who doesn't live in this city and appropriate for his own private use 30% of a public sidewalk and made it inaccessible for most of the disabled. So that whereas before we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 platforms of travel, now for the able and disabled, now we're reduced down to one. So forget the greening. Let's talk about the pedestrian use. Forget the so-called, planting. Let's talk about pedestrian use. And I myself am disabled. And so he's endangered, in other words, anyone walking along the street. Furthermore, by creating the sidewalk the way he did it, why did he do it? He has 2 big rocks. I'm talking about rocks on either side of his garage. And if someone falls on that or trips, they're dead. Now, what he did was, recognizing a danger, then he decided, let me now put a barrier up in front of those 2 rocks. This is what he did. So he moved those barriers 30% into the sidewalk. You need to do a site visit. I intend to bring this case all the way to court if necessary. We go to the Board of Supervisors. I've already asked Aaron Peskin, who was out here the other day, to come out. He was on his way out to see for himself what has been allowed. Now, I know we're short-staffed and all of that bit, but we have people, disingenuous people, who are
Sir, you
taking
have 10
advantage of the
seconds.
city.
You have 10 seconds.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you. And now, Susan, do you want to talk?
My name is Susan Ben Kyken, and I live across the street. And I've been friends with all of the neighbors, including Phil. But I've watched over the last 15 years as he's changed the front of the property. And to me, it looks like it doesn't fit together. And it's also unsafe. Well, I have pictures. I can only show them this way. I don't know if you can see this. This is the front of the house.
Well,
And
we
here's-
can only see what's on the screen that you are sharing with us. If you have something that
Yeah,
you'd like to
I
share,
can.
have you emailed it to Berhani? If you can give me some type of indication of what
Okay.
to put on the screen, I would be happy to help you with that.
Can I email it right now? Is that what you're saying to me? Can you email it right now
That
to Berhani?
Berhani, do you have her materials?
No, I did not do that. I just,
Okay,
You can email them and I can review them afterwards. I know what the property looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
then you know that it's a mix-up of things, and he's had to come up with solutions to deal with the problems he's made for himself by not having a concise plan from the beginning. And that's what I see when I look from across the street. And what Joe has said about the narrowness of the sidewalk is very clear. So I'm asking you to really take a close look at that and make sure that it makes sense what he's wanting to do now. So I'm asking you as a neighbor to look into that, because it doesn't seem like, it seems like he just keeps changing things and we just have to accept it. And I don't think that's fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll send these.
Okay, I do not have any questions for that. I do have a question for Burhani.
We do
you
have
want-
another person with their hand up.
That was the owner. I think he.
Oh, okay. He already had the time to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go
Burhani, I have a question. Does from what is currently there, is the sidewalk being reconstructed more, or is it merely just the construction of a guardrail and the approval of that? Like there's not going to be more concrete demo and like that?
No, I think the current may not be what we're looking for. The proposed plan is what we're talking about. The
Yeah.
proposed should be able to meet the city standard. So
Okay.
currently, I cannot confirm. I have seen several different pictures, and they don't look, and I can't tell. But honestly, the plans should be, if things are constructed based on the proposed plan, they should be able to be what we will approve.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at a plan. I'm not looking at a picture. The current condition may not be what the plans look, but the plans should be fine. I mean, they are approvable by the code.
There
Okay.
you go.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
So just
see the-
to make sure, there was someone who had their hand raised. And then also just as a note, please do not use the chat to communicate about existing orders. When the order is called, that use the raise your hand feature. The chat is only for technical difficulties to communicate with the clerk, to myself. So we do have someone with their hand up, which is Sherry, and we've already heard from you. So
I didn't have my
at
full
this
3
point-
minutes.
She didn't have her hand up.
I didn't have my full 3 minutes. I gave my time over to Joe.
Oh, okay, you can have 30 more seconds.
Okay, and we will send you more pictures, but as Joe said, a site visit is mandatory. I don't know what Burhane is talking about when he says, oh, I'm looking at the plans, I'm not looking at the pictures. You have to look at the street. There is one slab that you could walk through. Otherwise, you're falling into the garage, or on the other side, the tree obstructs. And then further on down by the garage, as Joe had said, there's that rock that I've almost fallen into several times. So that's all I want to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sherry, I do understand. What I'm saying is we only approve the plans. Ultimately, whatever the condition now is, it has to be constructed based on the plan that we have. So it needs to be safe and meet the minimum code required. So it does have to meet the code. There's no question about it, and it needs to be safe. And the plans that I have, I'm reviewing, makes it safe, and it meets the city standard.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. If there is no more public comment, I will move on to the next case. Okay, the next case is 205735, a request from the property owner of 1506 Willard Street for a minor sidewalk encroachment. Permit to construct a warp driveway along Willard Street. Will the Public Works representative please speak?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Janalee Gonzaga with SF Public Works Bureau Street Use and Mapping Permits Division. So I will be presenting order number 205735. the request for a minor sidewalk encroachment for a proposed warped driveway to serve the property at 1506 Willard Street. So I'm gonna take a moment to share my screen so we can see the plan. Just give me a moment. So hopefully that's working. Please let me know if that
Yeah.
has started.
Yes,
Beautiful.
yes.
Beautiful, thank you. So background on the project itself. So the building work, which is permitted under SFDBI building permit application 2014-0228-9547, is for a rear addition on the existing third floor of the property and a vertical addition to add a fourth floor, as well as an interior remodel that does include a new garage. The proposed garage is below grade. So in order to service that garage, the fronting property has proposed to warp the sidewalk in order to get their vehicle to move through that driveway and into their garage. The one of the bigger constraints of this property frontage is that there is existing encroachments along the entire block of the 1500 block of Willard Street. So while the official public right-of-way sidewalk width is 10 feet based on records I've pulled up, the effective sidewalk width, because of these encroachments, is closer to 7 feet. So it is a fairly narrow sidewalk. So in order to meet that garage, they are warping towards their north end. The existing street slope is roughly 8.4%. There is a portion of the sidewalk here specifically where it will warp a little bit steeper, roughly 12.9%. Beyond that, I'll go into a brief timeline of the project. So the original applications for 1506 Willard Street with SF Public Works were submitted back in January of 2016. So that the applications included this minor sidewalk encroachment application and a street improvement permit application. The street improvement permit application would actually allow the property owner to move forward with the construction of whatever is approved by our office. In March of 2021, after reviewing and confirming the proposed sidewalk grading drawings were in general compliance with city requirements, such as what is set forth in Article 15, Section 703, the 10-day public notification letter was mailed to tenants within 150 feet of the subject address. In April, specifically April 5th, 2021, the public notification period ended. And I did receive 2 formal objections for the proposed encroachment during that 10-day public notification. The primary objections focused on the original plans, which did show that the dimensions of the sidewalk drawings were inconsistent with the existing conditions. Concerns that the sidewalk reconstruction would go into adjacent neighbors' property frontage, concerns with whether the sidewalk reconstruction would affect existing utility boxes, as well as pedestrian safety with an emphasis on trip and fall concerns because of the warped driveway. So after receiving those concerns, the BSM inspector for this location and I performed a site visit to verify the validity of the objections. And the project team was informed that the proposed plans would need to be were not technically feasible as is, and they would have to be revised. What we're looking at on the screen is the revised plan set. So in October, after reviewing and confirming the revised proposed plans as seen on the screen, were in general compliance with city requirements, I reached out to the objectors to notify them of the revised plans. And in November, specifically November 18th, we scheduled the public hearing based on the previous public comments.
Okay. I guess, yeah, one quick question. So it seems like just to reiterate, there were original plans that the neighbors had objected to some degree, and then which triggered a site inspection from BSM, who looked at the site and then just, said, yes, the engineer does need to redo these. And then the plans we're reviewing today are the updated plans.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess my only other question is the path of travel aligning with what is the main path of travel on the block? I know it's a fairly, as you said, there's lots of encroachments and utility vaults and trees. The path of travel is quite narrow to begin with.
Yes, the path of travel existing is roughly 4 feet. So the existing path of travel for the neighborhood is roughly between the projection of where existing planters are and then the edge of where technically the existing encroachment for all of the properties on the east side of the 1500 block. So this is the 4-foot pedestrian path of travel. The proposal does maintain the pedestrian path of travel with compliant cross slopes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's only one hand raised, Jeff Gibson.
Go ahead, Mr. Gibson.
Hi there. Can I also do a screen share for a minute? Can you enable that? I'm the
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay. I think you can hear me now, yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm the project architect for this project. I think Janalee did a great job of explaining the history. I wanted to just address a couple of quick points. First off, just to note, and you can see in this photo, it's a sort of existing, very non-compliant sidewalk condition. It's a narrow sidewalk. There's this path of travel through. There's a sort of very strange and unusual deep slope from the walking surface of the sidewalk down to the curb and then step down to the road. So this is obviously not DPW standards, and it's a kind of tricky condition that we're dealing with. To the south of us, the neighbor had already rectified that condition in their previous project. So at the south end, our sidewalk works pretty well. At the north end, we obviously don't want to and are not going to implore our north neighbor to fix their sidewalk. So we have to sort of address the relationship between an improved sidewalk to DPW standards meeting an existing sidewalk north of us that is not at DPW standards. And so we worked really closely with Janalee to sort of taper that off in that location. So that we can kind of build our sidewalk appropriately, and at the last minute before we hit the north property line, we can catch up with the existing non-compliant condition in hopes that in the future, maybe that neighbor will improve their sidewalk at a future date, but they don't have to. We've made it work without. There were some original discrepancies in our plans, and we apologize for that. We had seen the 10-foot right-of-way width in the city records and had mapped that to our sidewalk drawings, not realizing that some of that was not actually developed as sidewalk. So we corrected that. I think seeing that error on our drawings made everyone kind of nervous about the quality of our drawings. So we then engaged Foresight Surveying to do a topo survey of the whole sidewalk so that we were certain that we had all of the existing grading correct. So they produced that. So the zoom is very slow on this. We then updated our spot elevations to match the Foresight surveying. So we had a super hyper accurate spot elevation check of the entire plan. The spot elevations actually didn't really change very much. The slopes we already had were correct. It was really just the sidewalk width that wasn't. And the minor sidewalk encroachment that we're requesting is this little portion here. It's less than 2 feet deep. And you know, we call it an encroachment, but in truth, you can see from these spot elevations, we're actually only from here to here, dropping literally 1/2 of an inch, 0.48 inches. So our encroachment is really primarily just to sort of roll into the driveway, right? So that we don't scrape the car on the way down. So even though this is an encroachment, it doesn't even need like a railing or anything at the two ends. It's going to read as part of the sidewalk. No one will really realize it's an encroachment. It's simply just a little taper or roll. And we leave the main walking path down the middle. We're not touching the existing PG&E vault, which is already north of us. The AT&T vault here, we don't really touch that either. And we're working really closely with the AT&T rep for the area. The conduit that comes out of it is well buried, and they have advice for us on how to put a protective cover over it as we're working. So we're not going to be messing up any of the utilities. And again, because everybody got very nervous about the way that we were working on this, we also went ahead and had Lee and Braze do basically a peer review of our plan. So they reviewed everything and found that it would be in compliance as if they had done it. I know there's no obligation to have a civil engineer do sidewalk permits, and for a single family house like this, it's sort of an undue expense to do that. But we had Lee and Braze just take a look and say, yes, they're also in agreement. So the new plan, I think BSM and Jenna Lee are fine with it. Works well. Lee and Braze is fine with it. It matches up with all the survey points. So I feel like we've really done our diligence here, and hopefully we can just close this matter out and get it built. Thank you.
Thank you. And a representative from BSM, Jenna Lee, was also had her hand up to speak. Jenna Lee, go ahead.
Thank you. So I did also want to make mention that earlier today I did receive some emails from some of the neighbors that had submitted objections, and that has been forwarded to the hearing officer. It's in the file folder for your review. And I did also want to clarify, in case it wasn't as clear as I intended it to be, the encroachment would be for the warped driveway, and then it would also include the existing footprint. That is that is part of the neighborhood pattern.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's okay, I does
Do
not.
you have any further questions for me?
Yeah, no. I mean,
Okay.
I think well, one quick question, I guess. I think I read some of the people who objected to it, and it seemed like some of their concern was like how the encroachment of the slope would interfere with their property, or like enter and egress from 1504, but
Right.
but based on the designs you're showing, it just seems to be like the driveway isn't even up against the property line. There's actually a buffer there, so there doesn't seem like there's going to be significant work at the property line.
Yeah, I think the neighbors were, I don't know if you guys know the term awfulizing. They were just worried about an expansion of scope, and they sort of misunderstood that maybe we were going to be trying to, you know, encroach in front of their property or sort of force them to make some change. I think that they know that their sidewalk is non-compliant, and, you know, that's how it is, and it's going to stay that way, and that's fine. But I feel like they just were nervous that we were going to kind of back them into a corner when we're not. We're doing all the work we're doing is strictly in front of our property. We make no impact whatsoever to their existing conditions or ingress or egress or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. That is all.
Okay. Thanks.
Are any of the protesters or members of the public wishing to speak on this one? I know I think I read one of their recent emails from yesterday that they may not be here, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's no one here to speak on this matter.
Hi, this is Janely with SF Works BSM. Just wanted to confirm, in the emails that I did receive today, it does seem like the objectors would not be able to make the hearing today.
Okay, thank you.
If Stephen, if in your review of the objectors' emails that creates any further questions for us, please don't hesitate to ask before you issue a ruling.
Okay.
These objectors kind of kitchen sink it a little bit, and they might throw new things in there. I'm not sure. So we're here to answer questions at any point as you sort through all this information. But I think that we've got a really solid and pretty minimally invasive plan here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, on that note, I'm not seeing any raised hands. Last call, I will close this one and move on to, I believe, the final order, order 205746, to consider the validity of notices to repairs that have been issued to various property owners and utility agencies for the restoration of the public right-of-way within the Inner Richmond neighborhood. Can I please have a member of Public Works?
Good morning, hearing officer. My
Good
name is
morning.
Woo Ju Chung. I am with the Bureau of Street Use and Mapping as well on the inspection section. I just got a unmute pop-up.
You sound, I can hear you.
You're
Okay.
fine.
I'm good. Okay. I'm going to discuss so SERP, we're currently inspecting for or have sent notices for SERP 154, and we're calling this phase Cabrillo 10th Avenue. So Public Works Code section 706 states that it shall be the duty of the property owners to maintain sidewalk and sidewalk area fronting or adjacent to their property in good repair and condition. That said, this public hearing is to consider the validity of the notices to repair that have been issued to various property owners and utility agencies for the restoration of public right-of-way sidewalks. The sidewalk inspection and repair program was enacted by the city in 2007 to improve the pedestrian path of travel by inspecting and notifying property owners of defects requiring repair. Under city and state codes, property owners are responsible to maintain the sidewalks fronting their properties. This program differs from past inspection programs by providing funding for the city to allow property owners the option to have the city repair the sidewalks for them and to invoice them upon completion of the work. Part of the SERP process is to hold public hearings for property owners to express their concerns as to the validity of the required sidewalk repairs. Since its inception, SERP has conducted inspections along 1,845 blocks in neighborhoods throughout the city. Today's hearing is for property owners who have received sidewalk repair notifications in SERP 154 in a Richmond district neighborhood bordered by Balboa Street on the north, 7th Avenue on the east, Fulton Street on the south, Funston Avenue on the west. We mailed out the notices on November 24th. And just below is kind of a graphic of just the general SERP inspection area that was inspected for this phase. Thank you.
Okay. I guess quick question, when people are notified for hearings, is this like a mass notification of everyone everyone that was noticed to perform some repair at their cost, essentially?
Yeah, that is correct. So anybody that has received a notice to actually repair their sidewalk or we identified a defect adjacent to their property, it is just a mass notice where, because we know that, it's part of the process of our notification that we do allow for a hearing just in case somebody wanted to question or appeal their notice. We just found it that we just do the hearing anyway.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? Please raise your hand or dial *9. Give it again. Yeah. Okay. I'll give it.
Do we have? We'll give it a second or two. I do see we've got about 6 people in the area. I don't know if any of them are related to this issue. go ahead and use the raise your hand feature if you want to speak.
Okay. I'll give it 30 more seconds and then I will close public comment on SERP 154. Again, okay. If any individual property owners do have objections, but for some reason we're not able to speak, they can email us and direct comments to me and I can review that. Seeing no public comment at the moment, I will close this item. And that is the last case of the hearing. Okay, hold on. Okay, I will consider the hearing closed. Yeah, and again, I will be making my recommendations to the director who will be issuing decisions. Hope, I will try to make my recommendations within 2 weeks. And then the director will issue their recommendations after that, and you will be notified by the Bureau of Street Use and Mapping of what the final determinations are. Thank you very much.
All right, and the hearing is closed.
Thank you, everyone.